And I found that getting caught up in the facts, where the rubber meets the road kind of thing, can take my eye off the bigger picture. So there is the fixed and steadfast in time, which is ever recurring, and its form changes over and over and over, but it's still only a mask, not the genuinely authentic thing, which is transcendent. It's a dual focus kind of thing. It's not an either or, but a both and. I read that in Joseph Campbell's work. A bifocal vision. He related it to Joyce's works. James Joyce talking about the bifocal vision. But these ever recurring forms are informed by the transcendent. The transcendent pours through them. And I need this dual perspective to bring the purpose and meaning to life. But I had to face my fears and my desires, my grasping, how I grasped, you know. And in facing that, I went through near-death experiences. It's almost as if my ego, my self-image, having been convinced of its own reality, its own inherent existence, I not realizing that there's something deeper, something more real. In its complete self-belief in itself and its own existence, when it felt threatened, what arose in time were relationships that threatened me, life-threateningly. And so it duplicated what it was experiencing. And it attracted relationships that affirmed its own hypothesis, its own existence. I made it through, and I had that realization, I can choose. Anyway, past few years have been good with these elders, and I see a progression. And my dad, there's no getting around practical life experience. There's no getting around the fact that they're my elders. However, I have to start from where I'm at. And I found that where I'm at requires, even of my elders, that they go places they haven't necessarily been. And when I do this, I look back on my life and I realize I've done this repeatedly since I was a very young child. Young man. This is about 10. And I've been reprimanded very severely because the self-image of the authorities and the elders said, no, they have to be in charge. They have to inform me. I don't inform them. I think this is partly why my parents made the choices they made to estrange themselves and used my daughters as a pawn in their fulfilling of their vision. which they clouded. They hid behind their religion. They used their religion to excuse their own behavior. But that's neither here nor there. I'm just saying that I raised my daughters, with that awe and wonder in my experience of how I'm learning so much from them. I'm discovering so much through them, and how wonderful life is, and how incredible things can be. But I was also raised in a society where, there's a lot of manipulators. There's a lot of this survival of the fittest mentality, and competition, strife, competitiveness, and the belief that more is better. More of the ego aims. So I ended up, trying to show some self-responsibility here. I ended up, putting myself in situations that I didn't have a skill set to participate in, and I got crushed. Sort of like throwing myself onto the NFL, battlefield. I'd get crushed so bad. Those guys, it requires a great deal of training. And, they're not bad. It has nothing to do with good or bad from my perspective. It's just, making choices. And I keep trying to reaffirm to my father this vision that there's a difference between forfeiture and sacrifice. With forfeiture, we don't have a divine mandate. We don't feel that sense of destiny. We don't have that sense of sacredity that is present in sacrifice. And I understand that, life is tough, and we got to raise our kids to, be tough and know how to deal with it. But that can leave them severely damaged and traumatized. And there are deeper things, more important things. And, I see all kinds of cults and orthodoxies, religious orthodoxies that try to, hide their children away and develop their own little delusional metaphysic to live by, and it separates them from the world. It doesn't engage them with it. I can look back. I was so young, such a young parent, and all these things I understand now. I didn't know then. I was truly just following my heart. I'm doing the best I could. And I'm really proud of my kids. They're doing very well. So in the big scheme of things, I really have no complaints. It was difficult having witnessed what experienced to me. But I made it through. They made it through. Everybody made it through. And it's up to me to choose to move on. But all of this is coming to something that recently happened. This is the intro. I was given a book yesterday by a new elder that has come into my life. And this elder has a tremendous amount of practical life experience. And he was the head of all prisons in this state. Before that, a warden. Before that, a cop. Before that, in the military. So his whole life has been dedicated to service. And it's been a sacrifice. It's led him to this point where he's at now. And he said he recently became a Christian. So we're definitely treading on holy ground. I am, anyway. He's presenting to me something very sacred and divine to him. And that somehow, whether he realizes it or not, has informed all of his decisions throughout his life. And for me to come along and have perspectives that may force him to go places he's not ready to go concerns me. But at the same time, with his practical life experience, I have no reason to think that he can't handle it. But I've seen repeatedly the way certain individuals handle things in order to support their own little image of the world. That's why I mentioned the rule of exile. Many people, in order to keep their little dream alive, will stay asleep. And when someone comes along, awakening them, I remember my mom telling me, don't ever walk up to your dad and wake up your dad, because if you startle him, he'll just start swinging because he's asleep and he doesn't know. Trauma.